Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today, it is our first look into the 2026 QB draft class. For the 2026 NFL draft, it seems pretty obvious at this point, guys, that Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, their plan is to take the future franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers when the draft is in Pittsburgh next year with all the draft picks that they are accumulating. So we're going to talk about the top 10 names of the guys that you should be keeping your eye on all throughout this summer, and then, of course, heading into next college football season on today's show. But before we get into the quarterbacks today, if you want to draft a round one quarterback to be the next franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year, like the video. I greatly appreciate your guys' support. So we'll start here with the guy that is kind of being tabbed as the next generational type guy that people are waiting to come out, and that's Archie Manning out of Texas, of course. Now, the consensus ranking on him is that he's the number one overall player in the 2026 NFL draft class. Trevor Sikkema from PFF, Pro Football Focus, explains why. Even though he's only started 2 games in his career against bad competition in Louisiana Monroe and Mississippi State, Arch's 88.1 overall PFF grade was 13th among FBS quarterbacks who played at least 200 snaps. And Manning was 16th in both big-time throw rate, 6.4%, and turnover-worthy play rate at 1.9% as well. Manning is a much better athlete than either of his legendary uncles in Peyton and Eli, rushing for 4 touchdowns on just 21 attempts last year, including a 67-yarder. So listen, man, I don't think that the chances of the Steelers getting Archie Manning are all that good. First of all, I'm not even sure if he's going to come out next year. I think he's going to have to win the Heisman and be a guaranteed top 3 pick in order to decide to leave Texas and go into the National Football League early. And I just don't see the Pittsburgh Steelers getting within range of that top 3 kind of area. All right. If he's gettable for the Steelers and he's going to be around a pick 15 to 20, I just don't really think that he's going to come out and he will return to Austin. So I just don't think it's overly realistic to expect Archie Manning to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. So we'll move on to the next guy on the consensus big board here, which is Garrett Nussmeier, who is currently ranked the number 4 player in the 2026 NFL draft class. Nussmeier had a really good season with the LSU Tigers this past year. This is what Trevor had to say on Garrett Nussmeier. After sitting on the bench for 3 years, Nussmeier finally received his chance to start for the Tigers as a redshirt junior. He extended the flashes of brilliance he had as a backup over a full season and finished the year with the 5th most passing yards in the nation at over 4,000 and tied for 7th in big-time throws at 26. His turnover-worthy plays were among the 20 most in the nation. He also adds virtually nothing as a runner. His 93 rushing yards in 2024 were easily the fewest of anyone on this list, but he's still a tough quarterback who's fearless in the pocket and is capable of making almost any throw on the field. And honestly, guys, I'm not sure if Nussmeier is what Pittsburgh is looking for long term. He's going to be an older prospect, all right? And I think that the Steelers are going to be looking for somebody to develop a little bit more, somebody that's more physically gifted than Nussmeier is. We'll talk about some of those more physically talented guys that might sit for a year. That might be the plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I do expect this team to still be trying to win now, whether that be with Aaron Rodgers or some other veteran quarterback. But I do think that their focus is going to be on somebody that's a little bit younger and somebody that's a little bit more of a developmental guy. Nussmeier is a little bit older and a little bit more pro-ready, so I'm not sure if he's necessarily going to be at the top of the Steelers' radar next year. But somebody that I think absolutely could is Penn State quarterback Drew Allar, who is the consensus number 5 player in the 2026 class as it currently stands right now. This is what Trevor Sikkema had to say about the Nittany Lion quarterback. While his performance in the final game of the season was rough, a 36.6 PFF passing grade, Allar quieted many critics by quarterbacking the Nittany Lions all the way to the college football playoff semifinals in the past season. He finished as the nation's 6th most valuable signal caller in the process, according to our wins above average metric. His 21 big-time throws were top 20 mark in America, while Allar's 2.1% turnover-worthy play rate was 21st. He showed off his rifle right arm for far more as a junior, increasing his average depth of target by over a yard. And this is the type of guy where I think the Steelers want to make an investment in. He's going to be a little bit younger next year. He's got the rifle arm. He's used to playing in Pennsylvania weather conditions. And of course, this fan base knows and loves him because a lot of people in this fan base are Penn State fans. So he is certainly somebody that I think that the Steelers are going to keep a very close eye on here. And if he's available when the Steelers are selecting in the first round of the 2025 NFL draft, I think there's a good chance Drew Allar becomes the next franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But another name you got to keep your eye on here is Cade Klubnik out of Clemson. Had a really good season for the Tigers this past year. He's currently the consensus number 6 player in the class, and this is what Trevor had to say about Cade Klubnik. There might not have been a more improved quarterback in college football than Klubnik this past season. After placing 102nd among FBS signal callers in 2023 with a 63.9 PFF passing grade, he was 5th in 2024 with an 87.7 mark. Only Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders threw more touchdowns than the junior at 36, and those two were regarded as the two of the best quarterbacks in the 2025 NFL Draft. Klubnik was also 5th among all quarterbacks in America with 28 big-time throws, okay? And Klubnik is somebody to definitely keep your eye on here as he's looking to take yet another step with the Clemson Tigers next year. But personally, I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers would probably still prefer a guy like Drew Allar, somebody with a rifle arm. Klubnik doesn't have a bad arm or anything like that, but he is a little bit limited physically, in my opinion, even though he's perfectly fine in the physical categories. He was a very highly recruited player. But I do think that Allar, if they had the choice between Allar and Klubnik, at least right now, I think they probably would consider Allar over the Clemson Tiger. Then we'll finish out with somebody here where I think that this guy, LaNorris Sellers out of South Carolina, he is Mike Tomlin's cup of tea. All right, and right now he is the consensus number 7 player in the country. And you guys can see here that this year's class, this upcoming class in 2026, a hell of a lot better than it was in 2025 because you get 5 guys ranked in the top 7 in the class at the quarterback position. So this is what Bucky Brooks from NFL Network had to say about LaNorris Sellers. The dynamic dual-threat playmaker fits the NFL's new prototype for the position as an athletic quarterback with A-plus arm strength, arm talent, and athleticism. Sellers' rugged game forces opponents to deal with a relatively big power runner who flashes big play potential as a downfield passer. As more NFL teams embrace and showcase big-bodied quarterbacks with dual-threat potential, Sellers' ability to move the chains as a runner and thrower could make him the hottest commodity in scouting circles by the end of the 2026 season. And honestly, I think there's a pretty decent chance here, guys, with Archie Manning, maybe not coming out next year, that Sellers could be the first overall pick. Another year to develop and another offseason to develop there in South Carolina. I think that Sellers has a chance to really explode during the college football season, maybe even win a Heisman Trophy with his physical skill set. He has some seriously elite reps on tape from last year, guys. Like seriously, with both his legs and his arm. He's got some nice pocket presence. He can make some tough throws. He'll hang in the pocket. I'm excited to see what he's going to do this next year. And with the size, speed, and arm strength and arm talent kind of combination, that is exactly the type of player that Mike Tomlin specifically likes in his starting quarterback. So look for him to be a Mike Tomlin kind of guy as we head into the draft season next year. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Who is your favorite 2026 QB prospect for Pittsburgh to target in the first round at this point? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section for today's pinned question. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know which quarterback you would like the Pittsburgh Steelers to take next spring. Now we'll go over some other prospects to keep your eye on here. We got Nico Iamaleava. There we go. I think I got it right there. From UCLA. He transferred from Tennessee to UCLA. Now the whole story of how he transferred to UCLA, not exactly the best look for Nico, but if he comes out and has a stellar 2025 season here for the Bruins, he's going to be a top 10 pick because he is supremely talented with his arm. Now he's going to have to work on some of the accuracy stuff. And, there's certain things that he's going to have to clean up on his tape that he showed at Tennessee, which was a very talented ball club. but he certainly has the physical talent to be a first-round pick. Right now, he ranks 20th on the consensus big board. Then Fernando Mendoza, formerly with the California Golden Bears, replaces Curtis Rourke at Indiana here. He's right now the consensus number 32 overall player, but Mendoza had a pretty darn good season for California, Cal Berkeley last year, and he's going to be expected to be a big breakout star in the Big Ten this year with the Indiana Hoosiers. So keep your eye on Mendoza. Sam Levitt from Arizona State. He had a very impressive first season with the Arizona Sun Devils last year. Him combined with Cam Scatabo was a really good combination that led them to the Big 12 championship last year. Right now, he's the consensus big board has him ranked number 42, but he is a younger prospect, so it is possible that he goes back to school for another year. Then you have the ugliest headshot in college football in Carson Beck, who is currently the consensus number 57 quarterback. And he reminds me a lot of Quinn Ewers here, where like all these way too early mock drafts and the consensus big boards have him way higher than I think he's actually going to go. I think Carson Beck stinks. All right, he's had some of the best supporting cast any quarterback could ever hope for at the University of Georgia. And honestly, he wasn't really that good, and he crumbled under pressure. So I really don't think Carson Beck is going to be like a day 2 draft pick. We'll see what he does with Miami. Cam Ward did wonders there with the Hurricanes. But honestly, if I have to guess right now, I think Beck ends up being a day 3 pick instead of a day 2 pick. Then another name to keep your eye on here is Miller Moss. Now, on the consensus big board, the consensus kind of views him as somebody that's not a draftable player at all right? Right now, just 614th on the consensus big board. He's going from USC, where he really struggled last year. Now he's going over to Jeff Brom's offense in Louisville, who helped turn guys like Aiden O'Connell and Tyler Shuck into NFL prospects. So watch out for Miller Moss. I do think he has a clean release, and I think inside that Jeff Brom offense there at Louisville, I do think that he could potentially develop into a pro-style prospect. But before I get into kind of the honorable mentions and some final kind of sleeper kind of quarterbacks to keep your eye on during the college football season, click that thumbs up icon if you are enjoying the content on today's edition of Steelers Talk. It really does help us out when you guys click that thumbs up icon. So some honorable mentions here. Malachi Nelson out of UTEP, really physically talented player that I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on that could have a breakout season. Rocco Becht out of Iowa State had some really good moments last year for the Cyclones. Right now, the consensus big board has him at 124th overall, which is, if you're wondering, a 4th-round pick. Eli Holstein from Pitt showed some really good kind of NFL quality tape last year with the Panthers, but kind of got worse as the season went on, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. But he's somebody that's a former Alabama prospect that, if he has a really strong season this year, could move up draft boards. Dante Moore out of Oregon. Taylon Green out of Arkansas, right now ranked 703rd on the consensus big board, but he's got some seriously high-end physical traits that I think is going to lend credence to a team taking him a lot earlier than the 703rd pick. And then Diego Pavia, he upset Alabama last year. He's got kind of like a Baker Mayfield kind of vibe to him. We'll see how he does with the Vanderbilt with Vanderbilt this year. And then Kevin Jennings from SMU, somebody that PFF has ranked the 103rd prospect on their big board, but the consensus big board doesn't have him ranked at all. So keep your eye on the Mustang quarterback. And then John Mateer going over from Wazoo to Boomer Sooner this year, currently not ranked on the consensus big board, but he's ranked around the 170 mark on the PFF big board as it stands here today. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Which quarterback will come out of nowhere next year to be a 1st-round pick? Who's going to be this year's Joe Burrow? Who's going to be this year's Jaden Daniels? Who's going to come out of nowhere here and have a stellar season in college football? Predict it for me down there in the comments section. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk. We took our first look at the 2026 QB class. We're going to be doing a lot of research on these guys all throughout the college football season, as well into the 2026 draft season, because let's face it, guys, the Steelers are probably taking one of the people that we talked about on today's show in the 1st round of the 2026 NFL draft. So we're going to have extensive coverage on that on this channel for free for you guys. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.